It began on an ordinary night, or at least it seemed ordinary to the people of Earth. The skies were calm, cities buzzed with their usual noise, and humanity continued in its endless routines of work, war, love, and survival. But far beyond what the naked eye could see, something stirred in the darkness of space. A signal, faint at first, then stronger, echoed across the void. It was not human. It was not natural. It was something greater, older, and vastly more powerful. The world's telescopes and satellites caught it within minutes, and suddenly every observatory on Earth was watching a silent storm ripple through the stars. The signal was a warning, or perhaps a declaration. No one could decipher the alien language in those first crucial hours, but the sheer strength of the broadcast made one thing clear. It was not meant for secrecy. Whoever had sent it wanted humanity to hear it. And when the best codebreakers finally began to unlock its meaning, the message chilled the blood of every leader on Earth. The words, translated crudely but unmistakably, were these: "Prepare yourselves, for the Empire comes. Surrender, and you will be spared. Resist, and you will be erased." Panic spread like wildfire. News channels around the world broke the story, some dismissing it as a hoax, others sensationalizing it until the streets were alive with fear. Was this a joke? A trick from a rival nation? Or was it truly the beginning of something no human had ever imagined possible? When the first images arrived, grainy scans of vast shapes moving at impossible speeds toward the solar system, doubt vanished. They were ships, thousands of them, larger than anything Earth had ever built. Ships that could cross light years as if they were nothing, and they were coming here. For the first time in human history, the nations of Earth stared at a common enemy. Old rivalries felt suddenly meaningless when compared to the cold certainty of annihilation. Presidents, generals, kings, and prime ministers convened in emergency councils. Militaries went on high alert. Satellites that once watched each other now turned outward, desperate to measure the scale of what approached. The United Nations, so often ignored, suddenly became the beating heart of Earth's last hope. And amid the chaos, a strange and powerful feeling began to spread. Not just fear, but unity. Humanity had always fought itself. Wars over land, resources, beliefs. But now, faced with an enemy beyond imagination, there was no time for petty divisions. Engineers in rival nations began to share blueprints. Scientists who had once been enemies shook hands and began to collaborate. Secrets guarded for decades were suddenly exchanged like survival rations. Nuclear powers pooled their arsenals. Space agencies, once competing for prestige, now worked side by side to launch defenses into orbit. The world was uniting, not out of love, but out of desperation. And yet, there was something beautiful in that desperation, something almost divine. While the politicians argued in closed chambers, the people themselves began to awaken. Civilians volunteered in record numbers, offering whatever skills they had. Factories that once built cars now forged weapons and armor. Laboratories switched from medicine to propulsion systems and energy shields. Even artists and storytellers found purpose, rallying spirits, reminding humanity of its stubborn, unyielding soul. Every hand found work. Every voice added to the cry that rose louder each day. For Earth. For humanity. But as Earth prepared, the aliens came closer. And as they drew near, they began to speak again. This time the message was clearer, sharper, almost mocking. Do not resist. You are but children. We are the empire of Karsun. We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years. Worlds fall before us. Species kneel before us. Do not make us destroy you. The words rang in every language at once, translated instantly by the same mysterious signal that had first carried them. Every human with a screen or a radio heard it, and every human felt the same mixture of terror and rage. The aliens expected fear, and they got it, but they also got something else: defiance. Humans did not kneel so easily. In cities and villages, people gathered, raising banners, shouting back at the sky. Soldiers swore oaths not just to their nations, but to the earth itself. And leaders, once cautious, began to harden their voices. Resistance was no longer just a military strategy, it was a moral certainty. Humanity would not go quietly, humanity would not surrender. In the deserts of Nevada, in the frozen wastes of Siberia, in the hidden mountains of China, bases thundered with activity. Giant hangars opened to reveal experimental craft that had never been tested in battle. Weapons once thought impossible were being rushed into existence. Railguns the size of skyscrapers, orbital cannons hidden in satellites. Even ancient nuclear warheads were being repurposed for the defense of the planet. Every piece of technology, every scrap of metal, every ounce of human ingenuity was being thrown into the fire of survival. Yet amid all the frantic preparation, there was silence too. People standing on rooftops, gazing at the night sky, whispering prayers to gods they had forgotten. Parents holding their children tighter, wondering if tomorrow would exist. Scientists are staring at equations, praying they had not missed a decimal. And deep down, in the heart of every human being, a single thought pulsed like a drum. Will we survive this? The aliens did not wait long to answer. Just beyond the orbit of Neptune, telescopes captured their arrival. At first, only a few ships, so massive they dwarfed Earth's largest carriers, appeared. Then hundreds, then thousands. A fleet so vast it blotted out the stars in the photographs. The Empire of Karsoon had arrived, and with their arrival came a new message, this time with an image. On screens across Earth, the face of a Karsoon commander appeared. A being tall and regal, with skin like burnished metal, and eyes that glowed faintly with cruel intelligence. His voice was calm, almost bored, as if he were speaking not to equals, but to insects, humans. We have come. We will take your world. Resist, and you will suffer. Kneel, and you will live. This is mercy. Few are ever offered it. Choose wisely. The silence that followed was unbearable. But then from a bunker beneath the Pentagon, a single voice rose. General Marcus Hale, one of the oldest commanders alive, a man who had seen more war than peace, leaned into the microphone that would carry his words across the globe. His voice was steady, deep, and unshaken. We hear you, we understand your threat, and we reject it. This world is ours. It has been bought with blood and struggle and sacrifice you cannot imagine. If you come for it, you will pay in kind. Humanity does not kneel, not to you, not to anyone. The broadcast cut off, silence returned. And then, for the first time in their long history, the people of Earth spoke as one. In cities and villages, in barracks and homes, in factories and fields, a cry rose that shook the world. For Earth, for humanity, for home. The war had not yet begun, but already the first shot had been fired, not with weapons, but with words. And as the alien fleet advanced, faster now, hungrier now, the humans of Earth prepared to show the galaxy something it had never seen before. Not technology, not numbers, but defiance. The kind of defiance that could set fire to the stars. The Karsoon Armada swept into the solar system like a tide of steel and fire. Their ships moved with precision, each one larger than the greatest human city. The lead vessels spread their formation across the blackness, their engines glowing faintly like dying suns. They had conquered hundreds of worlds, bent thousands of species to their will. Earth to them was nothing more than another stone to be crushed beneath their boot. And yet, as their fleet advanced, they found no surrender, no kneeling envoys, no desperate pleas for mercy. They found only silence and preparations. The first probes they sent toward Earth were destroyed before they reached orbit. A brilliant flash erupted as one probe was torn apart by a railgun hidden on the dark side of the moon. The Karsoon dismissed it as luck, but then another fell, and another. By the time the fifth probe was destroyed, their commanders began to frown. Few species resisted this long. Fewer still fought back with such accuracy. Humanity was not cowering. Humanity was waiting. Deep beneath Earth's crust, in bunkers and command centers, the world's military leaders sat before screens glowing with incoming data. Satellites tracked the alien movements. Supercomputers ran endless simulations, and generals whispered the plans that had been forged in frantic nights of unity. The moment had come. Operation Dawn Shield was ready. "Target locked," whispered a technician inside a base buried in the Rockies. "Firing sequence engaged." The ground trembled as one of Earth's greatest secrets roared to life. Hidden beneath mountains and oceans, weapons that had never been spoken of were now unleashed. Massive rail cannons, buried for decades as abandoned experiments, thundered upward, launching projectiles at speeds no eye could follow. In orbit, satellites disguised as communication relays unfolded like blooming flowers, revealing missile silos bristling with warheads. Humanity had prepared not just to fight, but to ambush. The first Qarsoon destroyer to cross into Mars's orbit met its end before it knew it had been targeted. A blinding streak of fire lanced from Phobos, tearing through its shields and punching a hole clean through its hull. The alien warship shuddered, then exploded in silence, scattering fragments into the void. For the first time in their long reign, the Qarsoon armada lost a ship before even setting foot on a planet. The commander's face reappeared on human screens, colder now, less amused. "Children," he hissed, his voice rippling with contempt. "You dare strike us? You invite annihilation." But the humans were not listening to threats anymore. They were too busy fighting back. At Earth's orbit, hundreds of hidden defense satellites activated at once, forming an iron ring around the planet. Lasers, railguns, and electromagnetic cannons lit the void with fury. Alien fighters surged forward, sleek and deadly, only to be ripped apart by coordinated salvos. For every human satellite destroyed, 3 alien craft fell. The sky above Earth became a storm of light, burning brighter than the auroras that had once danced peacefully in the poles. And then came humanity's boldest strike. From the launch pads of Baikonur, Cape Canaveral, and Wenchang, rockets thundered upward, not carrying astronauts or scientific payloads, but weapons never meant to exist. Nuclear warheads, modified for space combat, soared into the black. The aliens laughed when they saw them. Nukes were primitive, crude things compared to the clean energy weapons of the Empire. But when the warheads detonated, the laughter ended. The explosions were not aimed at ships, but at space itself. Massive bursts of electromagnetic energy surged outward, frying alien sensors, blinding their targeting systems, scrambling their communications. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Qarsoon fleet staggered in confusion. Their formations broke. Their perfect order dissolved into chaos. And through that chaos, humanity struck like a knife. On Earth, billions watched in awe. Screens across cities and villages showed the impossible. Alien warships falling, giant flames lighting the heavens as debris burned across the skies. For the first time, humanity saw that their enemy could bleed. Hope, fragile, trembling, but real, ignited like wildfire. The Qarsoon commanders snarled in rage. They unleashed their full fury. Thousands of plasma lances shot toward Earth's defenses, ripping satellites apart, scorching the moon's surface. Human ships, rushed into service and barely tested, exploded under the onslaught. The cost was terrible, but every loss was answered with defiance. Where one ship fell, 2 more rose to take its place. Where one defense station burned, another struck from the shadows. And then as the battle raged, something happened that no alien strategist had predicted. Humanity adapted. Species across the galaxy had always fought in patterns. Predictable tactics refined over centuries. But humans were different. They were chaotic, improvised. In the span of hours, they abandoned old strategies and invented new ones. Fighter pilots, outnumbered 10 to 1, weaved through alien fire in maneuvers no Qarsoon had ever seen. Engineers reprogrammed satellites mid-battle, turning weather stations into weapons. Civilians hacked alien transmissions, feeding false coordinates to their targeting systems. Humanity was not simply resisting. Humanity was learning. The Qarsoon fleet pushed harder, furious now, determined to crush the insolence of this young species. They burned Mars's surface with plasma strikes. They shattered human colonies on the moons. They turned the asteroid belt into molten glass. Yet no matter how many blows they landed, Earth did not break. Its people rose again and again, a tide of fury that refused to end. At last, the alien commander returned to the screens, his regal composure now cracked with frustration. "You cannot win. You have fire, yes. You have defiance. But you are still children, and children cannot fight the Empire forever." In response, General Marcus Hale appeared once more, his face lined with exhaustion, but his eyes burning like steel. "Maybe we are children," he said, "but even children will fight like wolves when you threaten their home. You wanted us to kneel. Look closer. This is humanity kneeling to no one." With that, Earth unleashed its deadliest secret yet. From beneath the oceans, submarines rose like leviathans, their hulls opening to reveal weapons no alien had ever imagined. Kinetic rods, massive tungsten spears accelerated from orbit. They fell upon the Qarsoon fleet with the force of gods, piercing ships the size of mountains, shattering their cores, sending shockwaves through space itself. The Empire's fleet, once so untouchable, screamed in silence as ship after ship was torn apart. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. And as the smoke of battle thickened in the void, one thing became clear. Not to humans, but to the Qarsoon themselves. They had expected fear. They had expected surrender. Instead, they had found something far more dangerous. They had found humanity's soul, a soul that would rather burn than bow. The Qarsoon armada was bleeding. Across the solar system, wreckage of their once proud ships drifted silently, glowing with the fire of human defiance. They had arrived certain of victory. Now they fought not for conquest, but for survival. Inside their flagship, the alien commander raged. "Impossible! No world has ever stood against us this long." His voice trembled with something unfamiliar to his kind. Fear. But Earth was not finished. Humanity's unity burned brighter than ever. Nations that had once argued now fought as one. Scientists, soldiers, and civilians became parts of a single will. Every hidden weapon, every secret project, every ounce of ingenuity was unleashed in the final push. Then came the strike that broke the invaders. From deep orbit, humanity deployed its last gamble. Project Aegis, a colossal station disguised as a derelict satellite. It unfolded like a metallic flower, releasing a storm of hypersonic drones. Tiny, fast, and countless, they swarmed the Qarsoon fleet like angry hornets. No shields could block them all. One by one, the alien warships fell silent, pierced, burned, and broken. The alien commander finally gave the order no one in his empire had heard for centuries. Retreat. The remnants of the fleet turned away, engines blazing as they fled the battlefield. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Qarsoon Empire had been forced back, not by an ancient power, not by a mighty coalition, but by a single young world that refused to kneel. On Earth, the skies lit up with falling debris, glowing trails marking the funeral pyres of defeated warships. Humanity watched, breathless, as the impossible became real. They had survived. They had won. General Hale stood before the world, his voice carried across every screen, every radio, every device. "Today we have shown the galaxy who we are. We are not slaves. We are not prey. We are humanity, and we kneel to no empire." Cheers erupted from every corner of the planet, in the rubble of destroyed cities, in the bunkers deep underground, in orbiting stations barely holding together. Hope turned into triumph. Far away in the halls of alien empires watching the battle unfold, whispers spread like wildfire. The Qarsoon had been defeated. A new name entered their records, etched in fear and respect alike. Earth. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage, not as victims, but as a power that could not be broken. And though the war was over, one truth remained clear to all. This was only the beginning.